welcome back to the Leah Moses Entrepreneur Podcast. And today I want to answer a very common question. The question about what type of business should I register? A lot of people, after seeing my YouTube videos at Leah CL Moses channel, they often come to me, whether it be via Instagram or Facebook, and they ask or they say that they are not sure what they should register. So I just want to quickly get into some benefits and some disadvantages of either the sole trader business compared to the limited liability company. And so starting off right off with sole trader business, sole trader, as the name implies, is just you alone. So the benefits of being alone in business is that all decisions are yours. You control this business, right? The second benefit is that when you make money, you make profits, all belong to you. You have nobody to pay, you have no dividends to give out, and so on. So that's a great benefit. Another benefit of the sole trader business is that you are not required in Trinidad and Tobago. You are not required to pay taxes, any corporate taxes for that business, right? So these are some 3 quick benefits. Of course, you can think about other benefits you may have when you're going alone. Some people there's a quote that says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. So sometimes, in terms of leveling up your business, the pace is quicker because you are the sole decision maker in the business, right? Some of the disadvantages, sole trader businesses, you as the sole trader, the lone business person, if somebody decides to take legal action against the business, it's actually against you because the business and you are one. It's not separate, right? So that means that your personal assets, be it at home or wherever, in addition to the assets of the business, could be liquidated to pay whatever liability that you owe or whatever debt that you owe. And so, that could be a scary thing. You don't want your television at home under, with the ability to be seized. You don't want your personal car to have that ability to be seized because, things happen, right? Accidents happen, and sometimes it happens also not just to us as individuals, but it happens to us when we ply our trade. Something may happen, and if you don't have the relevant insurance, also, your personal assets are at stake. So that's a disadvantage there in terms of being connected and tied to that business. As well, under sole trader, you cannot have, or you are not legally to have, employees because you are a sole trader business, right? Which implies it's just you, right? You are doing all the work and so on. And some people may say a disadvantage of a sole trader business is that all the tasks fall on you. You have all the work to do. You may have more hours to put into your business. You aren't leveraging anybody, right? Although I will stick a pin right there one time and say that sometimes even if you're a sole trader, the way to leverage, you don't only have to leverage people, but we are in a digital age where you can leverage systems. But that will be a conversation for another time. So those are some of the advantages and downsides to being a sole trader. I forgot to mention, as far as registration goes, it's quite simple to register a sole trader business. Anyone can do it. You just basically search the business name. I have a video on my YouTube channel where I describe just how I go about registering my business by doing the online search to see if anybody already has the name. But then you still have to do the official name search at the company's registry, which is just $20 per search, $20 per search. So you search your business name. When you get back the results that says, okay, yes, the business name is free to register, you now fill out the other form and have your business registered. All right, they tell you when to come back. You collect your business certificate and you are in business. Congratulations. So those are the benefits and some of the disadvantages of a sole trader, just quickly, that comes to mind. Of course, if you have any other thing to add, I encourage your comments. I encourage your voice notes. Depending on where you're listening to this, you will be able to send voice messages as comments and so on. And also, we move now into the limited liability company. So benefits of a limited liability company is, as you hear the name, limited liability. So first of all, as I said with the sole trader, if somebody decides to take you or in this case, if it's limited, your business to court for some damages that was done or some type of negligence that took place, right? Your personal assets are protected. So you have protection when you are dealing in a limited liability company, right? And so only the assets of the business are at stake. So let's say you have a cleaning company. And in this cleaning company, the company owns some vacuum cleaners, brooms, you name it, right? All the equipment, right? High-tech equipment to polish and strip flooring and so on. These things are expensive. So these are the things that, are going to, these would be at risk. The assets of the business would be at risk should you have to pay. Your personal things are protected, so that's good, right? You are separate, legal. The business is separate, as if you are wanting to think of as if the business is a person under this type of registration. So that's really good, right? And so your personal things, you can rest assured that your household items are safe. Your personal vehicle is safe if you are under a limited liability company. If you are under a limited liability company as well, you have the ability to enter into contracts, right? So if your business model is one where you hope to get some government contracts or contracts with other companies or corporations, limited liability companies the way to go for that. If you are looking to have a limited liability company, allows you also to have employees. It allows you to have directors. You have to have at least 2 directors to begin a limited liability company, right? That leads straight into the point of, being able to pass on the business, right? Though I failed to mention it in the sole trader, I'll mention it here as a benefit of the limited company. If you start a business as a limited liability company, because it's a structure of having directors, you can have your family and whoever else as directors in the company and thus propel the life of the company. The company could live forever. Unlike the sole trader business where as soon as you die or if you are unable to run the business comes to a complete stop. It cannot be transferred. So a limited liability company could be transferred, it could be passed on, and so thereby you have a generational business, and that's a huge benefit of being able to be limited, right? In terms of limited company again, let me see, are there any other benefits I'm forgetting? If I remember any more, I will be sure to stick them in, but let's get into some disadvantages, right? And some disadvantages of the limited liability. I'll put this as a disadvantage, because the majority of people, especially in the Caribbean space, we don't like taxes. Taxes aren't our friends, right? We see that as a takeaway from, the business. Of course, in other places, taxes are to some people, taxes are enjoyed because taxes are really supposed to go towards the improvement of your country, right? But the majority of people in the Caribbean space and even elsewhere, they are down by these taxes. So let me just say one time, yes, as a disadvantage, you have to pay corporate taxes. There are different kinds of taxes. I'm not going to get into those. You could feel free to search up our taxes. You could go to the Board of Inland Revenue site and so on to see what kind of taxes. If you are registered for VAT, what are the rules? All these things are on the various government institutions' website where you can get the actual figures. So one of the downsides is that yes, you have to pay taxes, and of course taxes take away. But what the important thing I like to leave here for people is that it shouldn't be a bad thing, and there's a way in which you can ensure that you are paying a limited amount of taxes and be legal at it too, right? You see, a lot of companies, there was a recent article that came out even internationally where Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon Limited, again, is not a sole trader business, obviously, made billions of dollars, and that's billion with a B, and paid about $0 in taxes. Now, beside the little tax exemptions he would have for probably operating in the particular state or whatever the case is, these business owners who know their accounting and know their numbers understand that there are processes and things you do with your limited liability company, things you purchase, as I should say, or you spend on, that you can write off when it comes to your taxation, right? And if you have a proper tax professional or you have a very qualified and competent accountant, they will be able to identify the things that you can write off. So let me talk to the average person who's listening, right? I'm not going to assume you know accounting and so on. So I'm going to be as down to earth as we say as possible with these details. So, for example, you start a business and you need a vehicle, right? You have a limited liability company, right? You now are allowed to buy assets in that company's name, and you should buy the asset in the company's name. Why, you may ask? Now, yes, your personal bank account might have the money to purchase the car or to get the loan to get the car. However, that doesn't benefit you, especially by way of taxes or tax deductions. So you are encouraged. This is something they also don't teach in schools, and this is why this external knowledge-based things are important. Podcasts and YouTube and so on. Anyway, if you have that limited liability company, it's advised that you purchase the vehicle. The vehicle is going to be used for business anyway. In our scenario here, you purchase the vehicle, you have the right and the ability to purchase it in the name of the company. Sole traders don't have this benefit, by the way. When you purchase the vehicle in the name of the company, every expense, because the car or the van or the truck is a business expense or is bought for business, every expense that comes with it, you are able to write them off and reduce the amount of taxes you owe. So I want you to think about it. We know gas is quite costly, and so every time you purchase that gas, of course you save your receipts and so on. That is an expense to be written off. So if you owe at the end of your period, you owe $20,000 in taxes, right? As a part of doing up your taxes, you have to put the things that are deductibles. And so all the expenses for the car, every time you would have carried that car for a wash, you deduct that price. Every time you put gas in the car, maintenance for the car. If the car, well, of course, the car would be used for your business purposes, right? And these are legal deductions that companies can make in order to reduce these taxes. And so once you know how to utilize the business to do all activities, then that's why you have companies like Amazon and many others that basically pay sometimes even $0 in taxes. Another point to make is that I have friends here who have limited companies, right? And I asked them before, how do you all deal with the tax issue? And so one of the points to note is that you can only be taxed on profits. So, for example, while you don't want to have a business that's not in profit, the fact remains that if you are not making profit, you have no tax to pay, right? And so once you have your accounting, you are recording those accounts, you are being accurate in your books and so on. If you are genuinely not making that profit, you can't tax what you aren't making profits on. So that's something to think about as well. You might be thinking, oh gosh, I'm now starting this business. I don't have clients yet, but it's limited. I'm going to have a lot of money to pay in taxes. No, that's not the case, right? You can only pay taxes on profits. And as I said, out of the profits, if you have all your business expenses are able to be written off, right? So don't be afraid about the taxes, right? Basically, that is the major disadvantage of being limited. Sometimes you may think about speed as a disadvantage in that, all right, if you have to have a minimum of 2 directors as a limited company, and so let's just say you have the 2 or you have 4 or 5. When it comes to decision making, it's not you alone now. So you have to have that decision passed through others before you can, make moves, or before you can make important business decisions. You have to depend on others, and so that could slow down the process depending on where your team is, the headspace of the team. We may have some people not in agreement with certain moves when some are, and so you have to get that smoothed out. You have to have your meetings and so on, right? And so that's my quick wrap of your sole trader versus your limited. But just to tie it all together, I often tell people, I say, if you are planning, depending on your business, if you are planning to it's you alone, you're selling something, you're selling a product that you're producing or you're purchasing to resell, then by all means you can get started in a sole trader business. It's simple, it's cheaper, and it doesn't require you to have minimum of 2 directors, right? Or, well, you could be a director, for yourself. It doesn't require all of that. Sole trader is just you. You can register your business and be ready for business. Have your business name. Nobody else will be able to register that name when you're registered, either under sole trader or limited liability company. When you would have registered your business name, it's yours. So you protect your business, right? Anybody else trying to use that name could face legal action because you would have already, as we say, stamp your name on it. It's yours. You claim that business name, right? And so I will tell you, if that's the model of business you're doing, is something you're doing quickly, but you wanted to have it officially registered, and there's a benefit of being officially registered as a sole trader, because you might think, hey, let me just start this business. I don't really need to go down in legal affairs and do anything. However, let me give you a clear example before I wrap this up. Let's say you start a business. Let's say you start a food business. You have this special recipe for wings, right? Chicken wings. And you decide you start to operate without being registered. You have a name. It's not your name. You have, let's say you have Sizzling Wings is your business name. And you start to operate, and you have your clients going and everything. And sometimes when we start, we may automatically look to have our little logo or a little color scheme going, and you start to have all these things, but you're not officially registered at the company's registry, or you're not registered as far as the government records go as you as a business owner, right? It's easy one for somebody to look in, search up that business name, see if it's really registered. And if it isn't, there are people that exist, local and everywhere, right? Local, international, regional, who can look in on that and simply decide, okay, you're not registered. This is going well. Remember, I told you before, when you're registered, nobody can function under that name. All that will belong to you legally. And so somebody says, hey, Sizzling Wings is a good business model. It has clients. I love what's going on, but they are not registered. And they can come in easily, register your business, and basically take all that away from you, because now it would look like you are the imposter using somebody else's officially registered business as your own, right? And so you don't want that problem. You want to be sure that when you're operating and you're growing and building, that you are legally doing so under your name. And let me add, right, that was an example with using a company name. But even an example of using your personal name, you alone more than likely don't have your name. So even if your name is, let's say Suzanne's Hot Wings, there may be another Suzanne looking in who decides, hey, I want to register this business. I want to have a hot wings business as well. And we know that, when people see certain business models thriving, right, we have people who also, may get motivated to do the same. And so it's important that you register your business. I just wanted to stick that there. Don't think about skipping the process. But as I said, if it's just going to be you, I advise people to go ahead with the sole trader business. And you can always upgrade. It's easy to upgrade your sole trader business into a limited liability company as you expand, as you grow, or as you are ready to have, employees, or you're probably getting ready to go big, and you want to be that legal corporation. You don't want to be sued and have your personal assets at stake. You can always go the way of the LLC or the limited liability company after, right? So that's that. If you're planning to have employees and you're offering a service where it's easy for something to go wrong and you can face, legal action, then definitely go by way of the limited liability company to protect your assets and yourself, right? And the directors as well would be protected, because it will all be what's up with the company. The only time they won't be protected is if it's any case of fraud or crime, criminal activity, right? But you are otherwise protected. So that's the two things to really think about based on your business model, right? Of course, if you have any more questions or comments, feel free. You can leave it here on the podcast. You can reach out to me on all the social platforms. My handle is the same. It's my name, Leah, with the initial CL Moses. no space, no dots, all together, common letters, right? That's me. You can find me, and I can answer some of your questions, and thanks to those who are already doing so and reaching out. I hope to be of assistance to all my upcoming entrepreneurs and business owners. And so thank you for listening, and we will see you at the next one next week, Monday, each and every week.